Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webcast, 3 Ways to Tackle Your Project Closeout Challenges. This is Indira Farah, Director of Marketing at ARC Facilities. Before we start the presentation, I do want to let everyone know that today's event will include a live question and answer session at the end of the webcast. And you can access the Q&A panel by navigating to the bottom of your Zoom screen and clicking on the Q&A button. Go ahead and type your questions there, and we'll be answering as many questions as time permits. We'll follow up offline for any questions we're not able to address during the live event today. We will also be sending all registrants a follow-up email, which will include a webcast recording link, as well as the presentation slides. Now, I'd like to introduce the speaker. David Trask is the National Director at ARC Facilities. He's a nationwide facilities management consultant and a member of the ISMA Education Committee. David advises facilities and maintenance teams on productivity tools to lower costs and mitigate risk. And he's a partner to large facilities teams in healthcare, corporate, education, government, and more. He's a frequent speaker at industry events, and we're excited to have you speaking today, David. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Hey, thank you, Indira, and thanks for that great introduction, and welcome everyone. So what we're going to talk about today is closeouts. So what are some of those challenges and how do we tackle those? You know, as-built and closeouts clog up plan rooms every day. I see it everywhere I go. You know, this has been an age-old problem that's really never been solved. Every time we have a new project, it just adds to the pile of new drawings, or you stuff them in the cubbies in your plan room. Well, time after time, year after year, this problem just keeps rearing its ugly head. And again, you just keep adding to the pile. Well, today we're going to discuss this in detail with what is the root cause and how does this happen and how can we solve this problem? So let's jump in. So part of the fundamentals is the research shows that 72% of buildings in the US are over 20 years old. Well, in fact, 1 in 3 buildings are over 50 years old. Think about that. Think about your buildings and just run that number in your head. Well, let's pause here and think about that for a minute. And, you know, when the IRS tells us to retain financial records for 7 years, people think that's a long time. Well, now think about how long you're retaining all that paper for all of your buildings. So you've got to store that. You've got, 20, 30, 40 years, or even decades worth of documents. That's not uncommon. Well, it's exacerbated by, the problem is completely exacerbated. Every year we're adding as-built and closeouts to these document collections that we've got. All those TIs, all those code regulatory updates and compliance upgrades, all those buildings we've got and at those different ages. It causes us to make changes to our buildings and manages all of them and it consistently generates just so much more volume of large and small format documents. So in a nutshell, every new closeout continues to make the problem of access to that building information even worse. So also, let's look at some of the challenges that you've got and why that's a challenge. So do you have a process in place for tracking active construction documents? Well, you got to set up a clear process to have access and maintain a single source of truth. All of my documents are in one spot for all my active projects during that construction phase. But you've also, when that project wraps up, you have to incorporate and integrate that closeout documentation into your existing facilities documents. So think about how long is it taking you to get that closeout package when that project is at completion? Is it taking you months? Is it taking you years? I've heard it all across the board. Okay. And a lot of times when you receive those documents, a lot of your warranties are nearly out of date. Think about that. Well, the second challenge here is, are your current building plans and information organized and accessible? Well, this is a bigger one. Are your current facilities documents organized and accessible? You remember that picture I showed on the previous slide of that plan room. It's got all those little tags hanging from it. If not, how do we fix that? We're going to talk about that here in a few more minutes. The third challenge is there a system in place to ensure you have access to those plans right when you need them. So do you have a system in place that will allow you to access that closeout information when you need it? Again, all three of these are going to help speed up your process, not just during construction, but also to maintain those buildings in your facilities department. So tracking active construction documents, that's our first step. So single source of truth, cannot stress this enough. Access to accurate information from the get-go, from day one, right when you start your project and even leading up to starting the project, making sure you have all of your documents in one spot, everything. That way, everybody's looking at the same stuff while managing in an orderly fashion that results in a single source of truth throughout the entire construction phase. So not just the beginning, not just the middle, the entire phase. So what this will do is everyone should be looking at the same stuff. All of your consultants, your architect, your entire team should be looking at the same stuff. This will help also eliminate some delays. It could also help mitigate some potential change orders during that process, during your construction process. So access to all changes. This is the second step. Setting up that clear process for your active projects. This simply means you should have access to every revision, all the RFI postings, all the submittals, RFI logs, submittal logs, permit logs, all of the information that's involved with accessing your documents during the entire process, but also having the right technology. So let's talk about this as a third step. Is technology today will allow us to have all this information organized, structured, and accessible at all times. No excuses. Everybody should be looking at the same stuff. Everyone, all of your team. But then you've also got, there's no need to wait. So when the project is closing, there's no waiting for documents for the subcontractors. So think about your building your closeout package through the construction phase. So you're building it through the entire, from the beginning to the end. And now you've got that entire historical record of what happened throughout the entire process. This simply means at the time when the project is closing out, there's not waiting around for the information. You get that passed over faster from those other consultants. It's immediately here. Everybody's got that history of what happened on that building, and now it's just passed over. You're not waiting 6 months, you're not waiting a year. It's all being built throughout that process. So let's again talk about this through active construction. Well, let's look at what that could look like for you. So think about it this way. You've got 3 projects going on here. You've got your plaza, your cafe upgrades, and your ADA ramp upgrades. Well, for instance, say we were to click on plaza, and now you can see all the information for the plaza project, your plans, specs, you've got RFIs, you've got a discrepancy log here, all the stuff that's going on with the plaza project. You've also got access to the most recent set. Everything is updated, and every sheet in the index is linked to the actual sheet. Think about that. Every sheet is linked back to the index, and you don't have to dig through and flip through those plan sets. That paper goes away. Everybody's digital. Everybody has access to digital. So everybody, again, is accessing the same stuff. Sheets get updated. They're updated here. But then you've also got, again, you've got your access to your specs and all your spec information, all of that linked to the information. You've also got your RFI log by the number and the description of the RFI. Everything is here organized. You can click on it and it will go right to that particular thing. Discrepancy log sheet. Any discrepancies that come up, you have access to it. But again, what I'm stating here is simply all of this means your project information is now organized in one spot where everyone involved can access. You're keeping everybody on the same page through the entire construction process. Think about that. Everybody's looking at the same stuff. No excuses. Well, you've also got organizing current buildings, plans, and information. This is a bigger one, much bigger one. Are your current facilities documents organized and accessible? If not, how do you fix that? And that's what we're going to talk about now. So think about not just your active projects, you've also got that historical stuff, all those historical records for all the other projects from the beginning of your 20, 30, 40-year-old building to current, all those projects that have happened. Well, take a look at these pictures here. Everybody I've gone to, every client that I've even gone and talked to has one of these. It's either piled in their office, piled in a plan room, piled in a basement, piled in a closet. This is what we've got. And this is what we're working with. Stick files, they're crammed in boxes, they're in cubbies. But all of these represent the history of your building. So this is, again, a bigger challenge that's remained unaddressed for a long time. We've never had a reliable way to store and access the critical building information previously. As a result, 65%, think about this, 65% of facilities operators still have building plans in hard copy, just like you see right here. They're either piled in these rooms, they're all over the place. The core problem has to be addressed. Every role is part of a history of that. It's a piece of your building. It's a mess. It doesn't have to be. And that's what we're going to talk about here. But just because you may have some of your files digital doesn't make it easier to find that information. Some facilities have their info in digital files, and it takes as long to sift through that stuff as it did the paper. And how many times do you open up a folder and it's empty, or you're missing stuff? And also think about who can access this stuff. Is it part of your team? And also facilities, you guys are not tied to a desk all the time. Your facilities team's running around fixing stuff. Your field team is out there fixing stuff. They're not strapped to a desk. They're in the field. So let me show you how well-organized plan room with mobile access, what that would look like. So again, building plans and information management. Think about, you've got, in this case, you've got Valley Medical here. So you've got buildings, equipment, emergency, and compliance. All of the information related to this particular building is now in one spot, all of it. So think about that historical, all that stuff that's in that plan room is now right here. And let's look at how easy you can access that. So you click on your buildings button here and you go to your as-built list view. That is a list of all your drawings by all your projects by date, all your closeout packages by date, and what that project name was. It's a list. But then you've also got an as-built map view. What that is it maps out and shows you where those renovations touched from floor to floor. And then, of course, shutoffs, equipment maps, any compliant information could be in here. And again, you go straight to the index. If you click on any plan set and it goes to the drawing index and any sheet is linked, or it can be accessed by mapping it out. And this is what this system does, which is our system, maps out and shows you where it touched floor to floor. Think about that. I may have a list of 500 projects on my 50-year-old building, but what ones touched the third floor, the second floor, the first floor, and what part of those floors? This maps it all out. So now you can see there are 3, 4, whatever projects that touched a part of the building. And then you've also got all of your shutoffs mapped out, all your electrical panels, gas, water, all of it's mapped out with locations, room to room, floor to floor, hallway to hallway, even having photos attached to those pins identifying what they are. And now you can add notes and all the additional information that will help your team in the long run. But then you've also got access to all your emergency information, everything in one spot. You've got a pipe burst in your building. You need to find the shutoff. Boom, there's my shutoffs. You've got a evacuation going on in your building. Here's my evacuation routes, emergency equipment. Where are all my fire extinguishers, my AEDs, all of my fire poles, all the stuff associated with my building is all right here. Everything's in one spot. And again, equipment here, all of my equipment. I work with a lot of facilities folks, and you've always got that one guy, Carl or Bob, who's been with you for 30 years and they know where everything is. Well, they just gave their notice last week. Now what? All your building information or all your equipment information in your buildings should also be mapped out so that everybody has access to that historical, where is it? Where is that, that exhaust fan? I climb up on roofs all the time with my clients, and I look out at hospitals and there's 400 exhaust fans across their campus roofs. Which one's number 4? I have no idea. There's 50 on this one roof section. Which one's number 4? They should all be mapped out so that the new guy who comes in to replace Carl knows where it is and he can access that. That's what you can do today. It's not hard. So let's dive in a little bit deeper here. And again, it's even though you have tracked the active construction projects and organized the current building plans and information, do you have instant access to it when you need it? Ask yourself that. Can your entire team access that information, whether it's a project, an active construction project, or all your legacy information? Can they access it today wherever they are? They're on the roof, they're in the basement, they're on the 3rd floor of Tower 1, and something's going on in Tower 3 that they've got to go over. Do they have access to Tower 3? All the information for Tower 3? Or are they relying on their memory? Or are they calling Carl? Because Carl's that guy who knows where everything is. It's a problem. So in facilities management, it is critical to have instant access to the information anytime you need it. Okay. One big challenge I'm seeing again and again is lack of easy access to information when we need it. Even better if we could access the information on the go, but I rarely see that. After all, in the facilities world, we have a deskless job. We're not sitting at a desk all day. We're fixing stuff. My team is fixing stuff. We're always on the move from the first cup of coffee in the morning. We're go, go, go. So having the ability to access the information on a mobile device direct from the cloud is a game changer. Every person has a smartphone. I teach a lot of education sessions at conferences around the country. One of the first questions I ask people is, raise your hand if you've got a smartphone. Everybody in the room raises their hand. And then I'll say, keep your hand up if you can access all your facilities information on your phone. And almost everybody puts their hand down. And I look at them in the eye and I say, why the hell not? Think about that. Everybody has a smartphone in their pocket. Why can't they access it? Wherever they are, access all your building information. Okay. Technology today allows us to do that. All of us access information all the time, various apps we use, whether it's you getting directions or you're reading the news or checking sports or booking a flight or whatever. There's an app for everything. So why not your facilities information? Think about that. Well, instant access, again, to that critical information is, again, here's closeouts. You go down to your cafe upgrades. Here's all the information for your closeout package. As-built, O&Ms, warranties, all the other documentation supported by that closeout for this cafe upgrade. This is being built, like I said, through the duration of the project, not at the end. You're not trying to track it all down at the end. It's not a fire drill at the end. It's being built the entire process. Then you've got all your drawings here, everything. Got a complete set of up-to-date drawings. O&Ms are all here by the date, by what it is, all your O&Ms, all those binders that you typically pass over at the end, all those O&Ms are all right here. Also, your warranties, the start date of the warranty. It's pretty important. You want to know when that Daikin HVAC unit is going to expire, okay? It's all right here. Also, here is the actual warranty attached to the warranty. It's not good enough that you just say, okay, well, that Daikin, is going to expire in, a year. Well, here's the actual warranty attached to that. Now you don't have to track down what binder's it in, or, oh, shoot, I never got that binder. Yeah, you did. It's right here. But then you've also got access to all of this through folders like you're probably used to as well. You've got all your construction plans, specs, RFIs, submittals, permits, discrepancy logs, all of it's right here. If you look at this, This is on a phone. You can access it from a tablet, any mobile device. You can access this stuff. You can access it from your desktop as well. But advanced technology today can connect the dots for facilities management professionals from active projects through the closeout stage. Well, Arc Facilities has solved this problem with a groundbreaking solution. Okay, and we're going to talk about that right now. So what we're talking about is two critical components here. One, using AI, machine learning, and advanced optical character recognition technologies. We developed a solution that can extract building intelligence from architectural, engineering, and construction plans. It reads the large format drawings. It picks up those detail callouts. It picks up the information on those drawings, not just the title block. It reads the drawings and now makes them intelligent. But two, it also creates building intelligence is then delivered through an easy to use app on mobile devices that can be accessed anywhere, anytime, anywhere you are. You're at home, you're at the beach. You can access this stuff wherever the heck you are. It's always available to you. So in summary, the three ways you can tackle closeouts are, again, set up a process for tracking these construction documents. You have to build a process that works. I showed you one way that you can do it. It's instant access on mobile. Everybody's single source of truth is looking at the same stuff. But also the second part here is ensure your building plans and information are organized and accessible. Take all that plan room stuff, get rid of that, put it in a digital format that you can access wherever the heck you are. Organized, not which cubby is that 1985 drawing set in? Is it misfiled? Did somebody grab it and give it to one of your consultants and never brought it back? No. Everybody should be accessing this all digital, all in one spot. Your legacy and your new stuff coming in. But also put a system into place where it gives you instant access to that plans and information from anywhere, anytime, mobile. Everybody's got a smartphone, folks. Everybody has access to this information. You can too, and it's not hard. Just remember, you have to take the leap. Take those active construction projects that you have. Start a move forward process to manage that information digitally so that that project closeout you're not waiting 6 months on it. You're not waiting a year on it. You're talking weeks, a month. You're accessing this information quickly, and everybody's accessing it, not just during the construction process. It's also now passed over as a tool that your facilities can hit the ground running with. They're looking at the most recent stuff. Now, I'd like to open it up to some questions. Indira?
Yep, thank you, David. I'll go ahead and get right into the questions here. The first one is a two-part question. So here it is. Is there a possibility of adding key elements in existing building layouts, such as control panels and fire partition penetrations? And then can maintenance routines also tie into equipment tags?
Yes. So essentially, the first part of your question with regards to being able to put locations of information in, yes, you can add additional information and pinning of any types of information and locations of that, whatever that is, that thing that you're trying to make a note of. Yes, you would be able to access all of that information. And second part, would you mind repeating that, Indira?
Sure. Yeah. Can maintenance routines also tie into equipment tags?
Yes. So you can add, like, for instance, PMs. You can set up PMs in notes to those pin locations for whatever that asset is, whether it's emergency. I'm actually on site in Salt Lake City right now with a client that's utilizing this type of process to update they're checking fire extinguishers. They're also doing some VAVs, and then he's going to also use it for, which is our new normal. It's the hand sanitizer stations that they're going to go around and do weekly checks on hand sanitizer stations too. So again, you can pin and use this tool in multiple different ways to access the information that's really related to you.
Great. Thanks, David. Here's another two-part question. Does your system track the user and who has permission to upload documents, and can this be restricted?
Short answer is yes and yes. You can restrict all the access. You control who can do and see what. But more importantly, you want to make sure that everybody is accessing the information that pertains to them. Okay, so you can control some aspects of that, but that's a deeper question that I'll have to answer offline. But short answer is you can do what you're asking.
Okay. I have another one here. We currently have a massive plan room that's filled with project documents. How would you handle that?
Give me your address and I'll bring the semi truck. But I joke, but it is that simple. You don't do any of that heavy lifting at all. In our process, we literally schedule the time, come pick up those documents, take them away. We organize all of that information. We scan all that information in. We run it through our system. It adds the intelligence to those documents, and we deliver it back to what I showed you. You don't have to lift a finger, essentially, other than showing us where that stuff is, and we take it from there. It's really an easy process for you, and we intend it that way. Our professional services team, our software does it all. You don't have to do any of that lifting.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How does the app coordinate between corporate facilities teams and architectural partners working on the projects?
Yeah, so you can control some access levels there. Again, you can set up even potentially some different views. We would just have to talk about that scope up front and make sure that we're all on the same page. But essentially, you want to make sure that everybody is seeing what they are supposed to see.
Yeah, and I think this next one, David, you just answered earlier. It was how does the drawing scanning get accomplished?
Yeah, and again, it's nothing that you have to do yourself. We do it all. Whether that's the large format, the small format, those rolls of plans that are burying you back in there. I actually went to a client last week and he said, yeah, we're not even allowed to go down into our plan room by ourselves. We have to physically go with two people because it's so overflowing. They're afraid that it might tip over. That's crazy. I saw it and it was nuts. So anyway, next question.
Next one I have is what is the typical time it takes to complete the closeout process?
Yeah, it really obviously depends on the project, but it's weeks. It's not months. It's not months or anything like that. One of the clients that I'm working with right now, he's got a project that he was working on. They've still been waiting for the closeout package on the previous project that he was on. It's been over a year. Okay, that's crazy. By the time he gets the full closeout package, most of his warranties are expired. He doesn't even have the full layout of all the equipment in his building. How is he supposed to maintain the building if he doesn't have all the as-builts? If he doesn't have even an equipment list? That's unacceptable. What we're talking about here is that doesn't happen again. And your team is now accessing the information when it hits the ground. When you get the keys to the building, you should be able to, within a short period of time, be able to access that information so that you can now maintain your building intelligently without being blind. Because if you don't get your closeout package quickly, you're blind for that duration from the time that it's passed over to you. You don't have any records. And that's unacceptable.
Yep. All right. Thank you, David. And I think we have time for one more question.
Sure.
One here is who owns the data when you do all the scanning?
You do. It's your information. We don't hold anybody hostage. It's your information. And that's the way it should be. You should own your information. You should control your information. And that's what our system gives you, that flexibility to have that. You can always have a local copy synced as well. So you always have access to your documents.
Fantastic. David, thank you for a great presentation. There are a few questions, we didn't get to, but we'll make sure to reach out individually. I want to, again, remind everyone that if you have any questions for us, here's our contact information on the screen. You can email us at this address, solutions@arcfacilities.com. You can visit our website, arcfacilities.com. There's a request a demo button there. You can request that or request a call, and someone will give you a call and discuss things with you. Just to remind everyone, we are recording this and we will be sending follow-up emails in the next few days to everybody who's registered. That's going to include a PDF of the presentation along with the recording link. You can forward that on to someone who may want to take a look at this presentation. And I want to thank David again for a great presentation. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to spend with us today. And again, if you have any questions at all, please let us know. And everybody have a great day. Thanks, David.
Thank you.